Welcome back again to Arinka's Kitchen. I'd like to share another family favorite recipe that was passed down from my mother and grandmother, and it is called Parisian sliced mustard pork chop, Párizsi Mustár Disznó Szelet. And all you will need for this recipe is between 4 to 6 pork chops, 2 whole medium eggs, a half a cup of milk, 3 cups of breadcrumbs, ground breadcrumbs, 3 teaspoons of Dijon mustard, 2 teaspoons of salt, half a teaspoon of pepper, and 2 cups of flour. So what I've done is I've cut lengthwise a slit into the pork chop. So I just want to show you what I did. I put a slit into the pork chop so that I can spread the Dijon mustard inside of the pork chop. So I'm just going to show you another one. So I've opened up the pork chop and put a slit in it, and then of course I've bought pork loin and medium thickness. So what I did was I put salt and pepper on it. So I sprinkled about approximately 2 teaspoons of sea salt and half a teaspoon of pepper over the pork chop. So I let it stand in there for about an hour in the fridge. Then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to spread the Dijon mustard into the pork chop. So that's going to be the first thing that I'm going to do. I'm just going to go rinse my hand off here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a small amount of Dijon mustard, and I'm going to spread it in the inside of the pork chops. So because it is a Parisian sliced mustard pork chop. And this was another family favorite recipe of my grandmother's and my mother's. So just spread in the inside the mustard and use up all the Dijon mustard in there. So it's going to take some more and add it in there, and just spread it around in the inside of the slit. So when you cut apart the pork chop, when you're eating it, you will have a taste of Dijon mustard inside of the pork chop. It has a unique flavor. Now mine is a mild type of Dijon mustard. If you like it kind of a hot type of a Dijon mustard, you can add that. But mine is kind of a mild one. Mild tasting Dijon mustard. So I'm just going to go back again, and I'm going to make sure that I fill in all of the slits with the mustard. Okay, and then I'm going to let that stand for just a few minutes. And I'm going to close back the pork chops so that they're ready to be dipped into the egg mixture. So the egg mixture has half a cup of milk and it has 2 eggs in it. And what I've done is I've taken a fork and I've beat the eggs so that the milk and the eggs mix together well. Then I've got my flour and my breadcrumbs. So I'm going to start off with the process of putting the breadcrumbs on the pork chop. So I'm going to put that into the mixtures. So it's going to go into the flour and then the egg mixture. and then into the breadcrumbs. So I'm going to do that with all of the pork chops to make sure that it's covered well with breadcrumbs. And then I've got the frying pan ready, Teflon frying pan ready with the heated oil. And I've started it at a minimum heat, and then I'm gradually going to bring it up to about a minimum to medium heat. So I'm just going to put these on the plate, and I'm going to continue doing this until I have all of the pork chops covered with the flour and egg mixture. So this was, again, another family favorite recipe of my grandmother's and my mother's, and even going into restaurants when I was in Hungary. This was one of the dishes that were on the menu. So I would order this one too, and this can be served with parsley potato, or it can be served with rice also. So I'm just going to cover the pork chops with the egg mixture, and then I'm going to dip it into the breadcrumbs again, and I'm going to make sure to cover the pork chop with breadcrumbs. And I've got a total of 4 pork chops here that I'm going to do to fry up for dinner, and I'm going to serve some rice with this tonight, so for dinner, and then also my cucumber salad to be served with rice or potatoes. So this one is ready. So I'm going to continue doing this, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the pork chops into the frying pan, and I'm going to fry them. And of course I've got a meat thermometer, and I'm going to test the pork chops, and they should be about at least at 170 degrees Fahrenheit or 77 degrees Celsius. So once your pork chops are ready, then they're ready to be eaten. If you want to keep the crunchiness of your pork chops, you can put them into the oven at about a 200 degrees Fahrenheit oven, and then you can put them in a sort of like a heat resistant dish, and then try not to cover them, because what happens to the breadcrumbs is as they get soggy. So that's just a little tip that I thought I mentioned to you. And it's also on my website. If you click onto my website, you will see a copy of the recipe and also a picture of what the recipe looks like. So I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you what this great recipe looks like. Welcome back again to Irinka's Kitchen. I have about 4 pork chops frying in about 3 cups of oil and vegetable oil, and I've been frying them, and I fried the pork chops about 22 minutes on each side. So approximately about 45 minutes you'd want to be frying them in the oil. I started it off heating the oil at about minimum temperature, and then I brought the temperature between minimum and medium heat. So I gradually cooked the pork chops, and then what I did was I used a meat thermometer to test for it to be well done, and it should be at least 170 degrees Fahrenheit and 77 degrees Celsius. So that would kind of tell you that it is well done. And then so they're ready, and I'd like to show you what they look like. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut apart one of them and show you that in the inside there is the Dijon mustard. So as I mentioned before, I cut a lengthwise slit in each of the pork chops, and I demonstrated that in my video prior to coming back and showing you the cooked pork chops. So I'm going to show you what they look like fried. So I put them in a serving dish for you to see, and this is what they looked like fried. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut apart one of the pork chops for you. and I'm going to show you the inside of the pork chop. Now you can't really see the mustard because it's kind of what it's done is it's absorbed into the meat. So this is what the inside of the pork chop looks like. But when you taste it, you will taste sort of like a mustard flavor in between the pork chop. So that's what the Dijon mustard gives it a unique flavor to it. So what happens to the Dijon mustard is it gets absorbed into the meat, and you can actually taste the mustard in between the pork chops. So I'm going to be serving this with rice tonight, and I'm going to be making up a cucumber salad. I have a recipe for the cucumber salad on the website. So if you wanted to make up something like that serve it with the meat dish, you can, or you can do the cholamade, which is the mixed pickles. So if you have any questions or comments about my recipe today, you can contact me at irene@irinkaskitchen.com or irinkaskitchen.com. Until next time, bon appetit, jó étvágyat!